You are listening to Insights with Kathleen. Please join me while I share my insights and experiences with the hope to inspire you to look inside of yourself for the answers that you already have. As with all information we receive, take what speaks to you and leave the rest.
So welcome back to Insights with Kathleen. I'm here once again with my pal Sherry.
What's up, guys?
Who has me flying totally blind today because we did not discuss at all what her thoughts are or what it is that she wants to bring to the conversation today. So Sherry, lay it on me.
Well, I'm very excited because one, I got you a new setup, so we're going to be able to hear
did.
all of what you're saying, and it's going to be really good. And two, yes, you are going into this blind. I came here today meeting with you, and I was like, there's a couple topics that, were surfacing my mind. But one of them is one that, we have talked about before and we've tried to do was on like energy and stuff. And I guess a thing for me is, I work at a grocery store. I interact with a lot of people every day. And as I'm getting more in touch with myself, I've noticed different energies, and some energies will like throw me off. Like, some people can be like rude or whatever, and that's not really what phases me. What phases me is like someone could greet me, and like I think there was one woman that came up, and like I just felt someone like flick my heart. Like someone just did a flick, and I was like, ooh, there's like something, I don't know what it is off about you, but there's something off. But she wasn't mean to me, she wasn't rude, but I was just like, ooh, just like keep it moving. And there's some more obvious, like if someone's telling me about something and I'm like, that might not be the best behavior, or you might be in negative energy. So, I guess for me, my question to you would be like, why do I feel these things? How do these things interact? Because it's something very new to me that I didn't notice before. Because before I could be like, oh, this person was mean, that's why I'm like, I don't want to talk to them. But there are some people where I'm just like, you didn't do anything to me, but there's something off, or there's something that makes me, I don't know if avert is the right word. I don't know what the word is, but I'm like, ooh, I don't want to be around you. I'm just like, nope.
Yeah, with like a sense of aversion for the person. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that everything is energy. And there's all this lovely physics out there that can break it all down into the sciencey way. And believe me, I'm far from being a sciencey individual, so I'm not even going to attempt to even share that piece. But for anybody who is, I do encourage you to go out there and investigate that. Children pick up energy very easily.
Really?
Animals pick up energy very easily. Because their mind's not getting in the way. The programming of society is not necessarily getting in the way. They just feel.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like what may be happening for you is as you are growing and you're practicing self-healing and self-discovery, you're becoming more in touch with your own feelings and what's happening inside of you. So once we do that, then it's easier for us to actually feel the energy coming from someone else.
Oh yeah.
So and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
That's really is a good thing. But sometimes, especially sensitive people, and I know I'm one of them because I've told you so many stories about when I was a kid, I would cry at everything. You can look at me wrong and I was crying.
Me too.
And the stories that my parents would tell me, like I think I was 2 and in a playpen, and a neighbor was actually a friend of theirs that would come to visit. And he was the only one. He would look at me a certain way and I would start crying. Like not just boo-hoo crying, but like screaming, crying. Like, oh my gosh. Save me from this guy.
That was some good singing.
Thank you. And then of course, as I get older and I have words and whatnot, and people, would say certain things to me, or I get frustrated. It was always tears. And then my dad, had issue with that because he didn't know what to do with that. Right.
Yeah.
So people who are sensitive, or people maybe who are not there yet to really be in tuned with what's going on with them, when you go to a store or you're working at a store and you have all these other energies that are just coming at you.
It's exhausting.
It can be. Elizabeth Wood, seer scientist, you can Google her and you'll find her site. And she goes into depth about this process.
Yeah.
And I do highly recommend anybody who wants to know more to look into her.
Yeah.
And plus, she comes from both an esoteric and a scientific viewpoint. And the woman comes, she's really intelligent, and she's very loving, and I really just can't say enough about her. And she does do a lot of things out there that doesn't really cost money, and you can, connect with her, and she tries to share a lot of information out there.
Nice.
But some of the things that I've learned from her, and this is a beautiful practice that I've learned from her, is it's about accepting the energy, like welcoming the energy to move in and through you, and to keep going.
Keep going. Don't
just
hold
keep
it.
going. The universe, and this is the sciencey side, right? So the universe, if we look at it, it's constantly in motion.
Yeah.
And it's not like always a fast motion, but it's constantly moving. The seasons change, right?
Yeah.
The ocean moves, the rivers move. Sometimes even your standstill lake, it's moving. We just don't see it.
Yeah, exactly. No, it makes sense.
Right? And then even humans, we're constantly evolving, from an infant to an adult, right? To death,
oh my
right?
gosh.
So birth
To
to
death.
death. I mean,
Nice.
there's lots
Can't
of
wait
changes.
for that.
And I think the key is just to practice that whole just not resisting and not allowing things to attach either, So it kind of, I think that's the practice, right? Going with the river, going down, just floating downstream instead of fighting it upstream. So when that energy...
It's funny you say that.
Yeah.
I got a fortune cookie and said, never spit towards the wind. And
that's a very wise fortune cookie.
And I'm like, guys, just don't do that, just so you know. I showed my friend that, and she's like, yeah. And I was like trying to connect it to myself, and I was like, ooh, a lot of times I resist things when I really should be just going, like you said, just always moving forward kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah, and just kind of go with the flow. It doesn't matter if you perceive it as good or bad. Sometimes just go with the flow, and where does that lead you? Where does it take you? Because I think all experiences, there's growth to be had. It's just a matter of the perception of it.
Oh, for sure.
Right? And so with that energy, that person, that pang on your heart, that's an opportunity to not only welcome that energy in and keep moving, but it's also an opportunity to maybe silently give energy back with grace. So then when we share that energy in grace, then we're offering to that person and that person's higher self maybe an element of light that they need in that moment. And then we leave it up to that person's self and soul and even our own spirit team to say, hey, you know what? This is what that person needs. We don't need to define it. We can just say, hey, with grace, I'm sending you love and light. And whatever that is that person needs in that little packet, because they panged your heart in some way.
Yeah.
Whether, even if it was icky.
I've gotten a lot of flicks. I didn't like that.
Yeah. So, but maybe it's just an opportunity to say, you know what? I'm just going to send you love and light. I don't even need to say it to the person, but as you're welcoming that energy to move, you can do an exchange to where it's kind of like the Girl Scout motto: leave things better than you found them.
Oh, is that the Girl Scouts? Did they say that? Yeah. Oh, they said that. That's really fun. I didn't know that. It's funny that you mentioned that, like with the growth and stuff. I just feel like, obviously 2020 was crazy. And I just see a lot of people, during this time, like growing. And it's very interesting. Like, the old saying, like, how you make a diamond, you get coal and put a lot of pressure on it and it turns into a diamond. So I'm seeing that with like a lot of people I know, and I'm just like, it's almost like you want to like, oh, like, don't do that, or don't do, or you should do that. But I'm like, oh, I gotta like, take a step back, because leave them room to grow. I actually had like a YouTube video that I put from, it was like, I don't know, I was like 16 or something, and I was watching it, and I was just like, someone was commenting, telling me, saying like, oh, you've seen like, like very reserved, or like not in a bad way, just like very like, uncomfortable with yourself. And I looked at that little girl playing the guitar, and I was like, she really was. But it's so cool, like the journey she got to get here today. And I guess, I have to tell myself, like, listen, everyone's going through that journey, and I just have to allow them to do that. And it's hard, because you're like, you want to be like, oh, I don't want you to go through that, or like, oh, it sucks. But yeah.
Yeah, it's hard when you have a very loving heart and you just want everybody to be happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that I've struggled with that too. And believe me, my sister-in-law can definitely attest to this because when I was younger and my older brother's children were kind of young and new families were being made, you know, from broken families and whatnot. And being a single individual who didn't have her own children and didn't really understand those dynamics to the degree that I do now that I have them, sticking my nose in, all because my heart just wanted everybody to be happy.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought I was doing what was right.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and I could be such a fighter and such a warrior of righteousness, like, you know,
this is right.
This is what is right. and the level of resistance that is met with that attitude.
Yeah.
You know, and it just takes time and practice and experience to really learn that, okay, maybe that really wasn't the best approach. But I think it's still, you know, at some point, I like to believe that nothing is wasted. Right?
Oh, for sure.
Because even in nature, when you look at nature, nothing really is wasted.
No.
Right.
That's why we have vultures.
Exactly. Vultures and ants. They're the great cleanup people, and there's a lot of other animals out there that help do that.
What about fruit flies? Because I hate them.
Don't hate a fruit fly. It has its purpose.
Yeah, to eat all my food. But,
go up your nose or in your eye.
It's great. No, I love that. I love that feeling at night. It's great.
The thing is that as we're practicing our own self-growth and our own self-healing, is that we want to allow the other individual the space to go through their process.
Yeah, you're right.
And we may not agree with their process. And then sometimes when their process is crossing our process, then maybe that's an opportunity for us to step back and say, okay, my next action. Is it loving of me and is it loving of them?
Yeah.
Right. But I think what we're facing too, excuse me, in 2020, or have faced in 2020, because we're wrapping it up, right?
Yay. Thank
Well,
God.
actually, I think you hit it on the nose, that I really believe that there's a lot of energetic changes that are happening in the world.
Yeah, I do.
And much like nature, the universe is going to give us the help that we need if we can't get there on our own.
Oh, yeah.
And people are feeling a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a great opportunity. Like, even if you're feeling a little crotchety about what's been going on, and maybe it has not been a great year, but there's still opportunity there.
Oh,
there's opportunity for a different perspective on maybe what you're going through, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's somebody who's lost a job, you know, because of whatever changes, you know, maybe instead of looking at it as like you lost something, why not look at it like you're gaining a potential opportunity? Now it's your opportunity.
Oh, for sure.
To go in a different direction. Now is your opportunity to be more happy.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
And this just like kind of rolls right into it. I know we're talking energy, and hopefully I'll come back and wrap this all up, but it just kind of rolls into that. If you'll give yourself that permission to just be happy and continue down that, you know, riding the current down instead of bucking it upstream.
Oh, yeah.
Be courageous. I kind of lost my thought here. Be courageous.
Be courageous. That's the message.
and you know, try to be thankful for what you already have, right? And it's in the grace of thanks, even if it's the tiniest little thing.
Yeah.
You know, like even if your bank account is really small, be thankful that you have it.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Be thankful that you have this one last dollar.
Yeah.
And you're so grateful and plan, what are you going to do with that one last dollar, and feel good about it, because then what happens is that one last dollar starts to multiply. Yeah. You know, and it's I'm just getting to know this person, and I know I'm throwing out all these names here, but Abraham Hicks, like I just saw this on a YouTube thing, so I encourage
on the YouTube
thing.
The internet thing, the World Wide Web, guys, check it out. I've heard of it. I think we have.
So she put something out there and about flowing down the river, and about how we feel, because it's our emotions that drives the energy that we feel.
Yes.
And the thing that I think people don't always realize is we still get to decide what's the emotion I'm going to have before we have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like
That's great.
mind-blowing to me.
That is.
When I discovered that, it was just totally mind-blowing. And then when I practiced it, it was even more mind-blowing.
It was
and
very-
it was fun and exciting.
And you're like, ooh, look at all these avenues I could go down.
Yeah, it's like a game. And I think that we've heard this about even exercising our physical body. Like, you're likely to do it if you make it a game. If you have fun doing it, then you're likely to get out there and do it. But if you're looking at it like, oh, this is drudgery and, oh, crap, I got to get up. Wait, oh, I have to do this thing.
Yeah, no, honestly, I feel that because now I'm like, having fun, like doing body scans. And I think I've talked about it before, but for those of you just joining in and don't know, it's when you just kind of take a step back and you realize what sensation is happening in your body right now. I know it is. I have a lot of chest things. And like, I almost think of it as a game. I'm like, ooh, what is the key? And like, sometimes I'll feel a discourse in my body and I'm like, what's going on? And sometimes I'm like either talking to a specific person or just meditating. And then I like unlock like what it is. And I'm like, ooh, that was the answer. Yep. That's because even some people will be like, oh, this is the answer. I'm like, no, not it. I'm going to keep going. But yes, sometimes I'll like unlock it like from either talking to you or whatever. And I'm like, yes, that's the thing. That's the thing causing discourse. Okay, we can move along now. So
right. And then what you're saying there, and I love this about you, Sherry, is that you're taking responsibility for you and for your energy, and you're checking into your energy. And then if you feel like, okay, wait a minute, I'm a little stuck here. So then you talk to a friend or you talk to someone else that you trust.
yeah.
Right. And that person might say, okay, well, did you think about this? Not that person has the answer for you.
No, yeah.
All that person has is a different perspective, kind of like what we're sharing here.
Yeah.
It's just a perspective.
Exactly.
Right? And so you listen and you feel that inside of you. Does this resonate with me? And again, that's about energy. Does this fit here? And yes, no, maybe just a piece of that. And then just that piece, you start rolling again and you're like, that unlocked it for me. All right, but I'm the master. I'm the one in control. I'm the one who has the answers.
The keys.
Just like the people listening. You have the answers
You guys
for your
do
life.
have the answers.
Yeah, you have the answer. You have the control.
Yeah.
You're not enslaved to any of it. You're not enslaved to the energies around you or that you're feeling. You still get to make the choice.
Yeah. It's very cool because I did not know that for the longest time. And I'm just like, oh, I'm just, whatever. But then after knowing this, I'm like, oh, wow, this is actually really cool to know myself in such a way. Because I know my New Year's resolution a couple of years ago was to know myself a little better. So I'm like, oh, yeah, that's really cool that I know how to do that.
That is cool.
That is cool because I'm like, because I learned about it in DBT and I'm just like, what? A body scan? Excuse me? And, now I've been able to like write more music, do more stuff. And it's just been really liberating. So.
Well, yeah. And then just to make it a little personal on my end. So when I was married, right, I was only married a short time. And the individual I was married to, God bless him. He tried to be what he thought he needed to be for me instead of just being himself.
Yeah.
And then that spirals, right? And then you fast forward to 5 years into the marriage and he's already had all of these other things happen to him. And he's not showing up. But I'm finding that I'm starting to change.
Right.
After I spent years of just pulling myself to being happy and healthy.
Yeah.
And because things are just falling apart within the marriage and in that relationship, and then watching my spouse lose himself because he never really found himself. But now he's really spiraling down and he's not even showing up for himself, right? And then as I'm checking in on me, I could really see myself in this black hole. And with just a tiny little speck of light. And I'm thinking, oh, hell no. Oh, no. I worked too hard to be out of this hole.
Yeah.
Whoa, I'm back into this hole?
Like, what's going on?
Oh, no. And then I could just see this tiny little rope. And I stretched for that rope. And
you're like, I'm getting up.
I'm telling you what. I was climbing. And, again, it was about changing perspective. And then I was working so hard to help him change his perspective so that he could see things differently and then see his own power and stand in his own power. But he was resistant to it all. So it comes back to me trying to fix somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
And but through all of that, like I didn't see it as a failure. I didn't see even just the breakup of the marriage as a failure as much as it was a starting point for new learning.
Yeah, no, I love that you said that. I think that's so powerful because I feel like, some people will have like past regrets or stuff like that. Me, myself, when I was looking at that YouTube video or just like the things that I was doing in general, like, when I first started doing like radio and voiceover and stuff, like I was like really like quiet and I would talk like this and I didn't want to really be heard. Mm-hmm. And my teacher's like, oh, you'd be great if you like had more confidence. And, I could look back on all those experiences and be like, oh gosh, like I wish I was this back then, but I was like, well, you can't have this without the stuff back then.
Right. Right. And then I shared that story too.
Yeah.
I mean, like as you're sharing yours about, hey, it's about putting the work in. It's about persevering. It's about, cutting yourself a little bit of a break and not judging, but just keep growing. Right.
Yes.
And my story is, listen, if you're in a relationship that's just not working for
yes.
you and it's not bringing you light anymore,
no, if it doesn't kindle
do
joy,
not be afraid to get out of it. Work your way out of it. I had no money at that time. There was no income because he was injured. He wasn't working. We had a house. We had 2 kids. In fact, one of them was a baby.
A baby,
like a little infant toddler, and but I had to do what was right for all of us as a family.
That's good.
And the thing that was the best thing was for the spouse to go because I was not doing him any favors.
Yeah.
But that again was me checking in with me.
That's good.
Not me necessarily, me checking in with me. How does this make me feel? Like I really wanted to beat the crap out of him. I mean, mind you, he's a really big man. He's like 6'3", and at this point in time, like he wasn't this big when we got married, but he was like pushing 300.
Wow.
Okay. But I could have taken that man down.
On fury alone.
On fury alone. And that's not right. And I'm not that person.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be that person.
No, you didn't.
So I was kind of like, check. I think I need to check and we need to check out.
Yes.
So then just beginning that process. And I'm not saying my process will work for everyone, but the point that I'm trying to make is if you feel like you're stuck in something, please know that you're not. No matter what your physical circumstances are, there are resources out there. And it starts with you. It starts with you making up your mind.
Yes.
And then you saying, you know what, this is how I'm going to feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to judge me.
Yeah.
I am worthy.
Yes, you are.
Right?
Yeah.
I am worthy.
Yeah.
To be loved for all that I am.
Yeah. What's that mantra you tell me?
I love this one. So, and I have to thank John Burgos for this because he really inspired these.
Nice.
So, I am worthy for all that I am. I can be worthy for all that I am. Mm-hmm. I am so worthy for all that I am.
Oh, that gave me tingles.
I am so grateful to be worthy.
I love that. I love that. That's great.
And you can just change it up. Well, it's just basically you're stating what you want, right? And then you're stating you can be. Yeah. Then you're stating you are, and then you're stating your gratitude for it. So another one is I am safe. Mm-hmm. I can be safe. Yes. Or actually, you know what? Start it with I can be safe. I am safe. I am so grateful for how safe I am. Right?
I love that.
So it's just that progression, that stepping. Like you just want to state this, right? Yeah. Yeah, and I'll tell you, those statements got me through a lot of things, and I still use them sometimes, especially when I'm afraid.
Too. Well, you can be safe, and you are safe.
Yes,
that's good.
And I can be loved for all that I am. And
I love that one.
That was a big one, right?
Yeah.
Because I know for myself, I have a very strong personality, in case people haven't noticed.
Yeah, you do. I like it.
And it kind of a really big presence. And I know growing up, my sister did not always appreciate it because...
when you showed up at places, you showed up.
Well, I wouldn't say that I was boisterous and gregarious, because that would be my younger brother. But I would say that when I was being present, I really did have a presence about me, right? So my sister, when we were growing up, we would get into arguments. And then one argument was, why are you always right? and I would just smile at her and I'd say, because I can't take up a fight with you unless I know I'm 100% right.
So you're just like, we're just batting 100 here.
Yeah, and then when you get older and you're reflecting backwards on the older version of yourself,
Yeah.
right? And then you realize, oh, the reason I had to be 100% right all the time is because if I was wrong, my self-confidence, my self-value was on the line. And that was the perception I had of myself.
Huh.
So now you fast forward to today, and I love to argue about anything. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. And I just giggle at you.
You're just like, all right, I'm just
All
going to
right, prove me wrong.
Yeah, no, it's funny because you're talking about like, like the save people thing. And like, that is something I'm still like trying to work through and stuff like that. Cause you'll hear someone like in trouble or something like that. And I was like, so I'm trying and it's like a resistance thing. It's like almost like a rubber band. It's like, no, like I'm trying to save all the people here. I got my rubber band and now my rubber band's snapping. And I was like, ooh, I should just like, stick to laces or something.
Well, I think you could still accomplish what your heart's desire is.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily have to do it physically.
No.
And you don't necessarily have to do it so that they even know you're doing it.
Oh, for sure.
Right? So it's kind of like what we were saying earlier about that pang in your heart when that person's coming through. And some of it is just yicky and you just want to keep going. But how lovely would it be just to transmute the yicky into something lighter and brighter? And that's that offering of just asking it to keep on moving. And then you can even just say, as it really feels heavy or yucky, you can just ask it to keep moving and to go home to evolve and grow.
Go home and evolve and grow.
Right? And then for the person who may be carrying that around where you got a glimpse of it, and this could all be just done internally through your heart, and you just send them that love and light so that they're actually leaving a lot lighter and brighter. So then all these other people who maybe are your friends or your family, and you really have this desire that you just wish that you could fix them.
Yeah.
It's not really up to us, first of all, to fix anybody because this is their journey and
their
some
experience.
people and their experience, their experiment.
Their
right?
experiment.
My favorite word, their experiment. So maybe our experiment is allowing them that space and then just sending them more light and love so they can accomplish whatever that experiment is that they're trying to accomplish. And then the other piece is when we talk about boundaries, right? So
yes, we did
we're
last
allowing
week.
them their space,
Yes.
but at the same time, we need to set healthy boundaries. So in allowing people space to experiment on whatever it is that they are doing, and if they want to experiment in dysfunction, it doesn't mean that needs to bleed over to you.
No, you're right.
And that's where those healthy boundaries come into play. And then at some point, vibrationally, energetically, it's not going to line up. Either they're going to pull up higher to you to meet you where you are energetically, or it's just going to fade away. Yeah. And then that distance will happen, and it'll just take care of itself naturally to some extent, right?
Yo, you just blew my mind. What? What? You just said it so casually, and I was like, wow, that's actually very, not that you're not insightful already, but that's just like that's a very cool perspective that I did not think about, because if I'm thinking about, past relationships and stuff, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what ended up happening. Yeah. And I learned it's loving to give someone that space to grow. Because at first I'm like, no, I'm ignoring them. I'm like, no, but they need their space to grow, because I definitely needed it when I was like going through my stuff. So
yes, and that's not an easy thing to practice.
No.
But that's why we have to practice first with setting healthy boundaries for ourselves. Right. And we had talked about it before, about making sure we're eating right. We're getting the right amount of sleep. We're on our
not
good,
drinking sugar.
Schedule. Not eating, drinking sugar.
Drinking sugar. No, I do not do that anymore.
No, she doesn't.
No.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So it's about first setting up even just physical healthy boundaries for ourselves, taking care of our human body, and then setting up those emotional healthy boundaries, and then the spiritual healthy boundaries. And of course that all can happen at once, but sometimes we have to just take baby steps, and it's easier to start with the physical and taking those baby steps, right? So once you establish that, and then you're allowing these other beings or other people to have their experiment, what resonates with you will just automatically show up.
No, I'm just like, that's just, I don't know. That's just great. Just because, like, if you would have told me like a year ago, because like people are like, Sherry, the right person will come along. I was like, that's BS. I have to go out and like find them and catch them or get a net or something. But, you know, my therapist was talking about this. Someone else was talking about this. And they're just like, no. Yeah, my therapist was talking about this. And she was pretty much saying like, hey, man, like once you like kind of like step into your own and you just have that energy, that right energy is going to see your energy and come up to you. You won't even have to be like, hello, do you like me? It'll just be there.
Yes.
And I think that just goes with like just people in general, you know, as I'm finding myself, I'm like, oh, okay, this is, you know.
And then when I relate back to the story I was telling you about my marriage where, you know, I got married to this man, I wasn't fully in myself, right? I was not fully showing up as me. He definitely was not fully showing up as him, you know, and you get married and now things are laxed a little bit and now you're just living life. How do you keep up the facade? It's
hard. Yeah.
Right? It's exhausting.
It is. That sounds exhausting.
And the thing is then, you know, there are some relationships, whether it's a marriage or, you know, just a relationship of sorts. If you're not showing up fully as yourself, then there's a level of deceit that you're showing the other person, right? Because that person is there for the facade or for that person that you're showing them.
Yeah.
So why not show people who you really are so you get the person who really wants to be with you?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll tell you, Sherry, when I learned that one, it was the best.
Isn't that nice?
The best.
Oh my gosh.
You know, the best relationship ever. Now, mind you, with anything, things just keep moving, but it still was the best experience.
Yeah.
Being in a relationship with somebody who was like, yeah, I kind of love all of you. Yay!
That's great. We love that. We love love.
And I think, though, in order to do that, we have to love ourselves first, all the aspects
Oh
of
my
ourselves
gosh.
and stop judging it.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Me and my loud nature and stuff. Yeah, no, that was like another New Year's resolution. I was like, all right, Sherry, we got to love all of myself. I'm like, listen, you know, every day is a day. You know, I'm not saying I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, I can look at myself and be like, yeah, you're one good looking kid.
Love it, because you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're a good looking kid too.
Well, thank you. I'll take that one all the way to the bank. Thank you very much. Well, you know, it is hard to embrace all those different aspects of ourselves when we're busy judging all of them. And we're not saying that you're going to like everything, but we do have control.
We do.
Right?
Yeah.
We do get to work on certain things, and we get to change it if we really don't like it.
Yeah.
But I think being able to embrace and love it is really the first step.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and then energetically, see how this wraps up into energetics, right? So as you're showing up and you're happy with you will just naturally draw energetically the people who will line up and match you energetically. So we're not just talking like, you know, romantic relationships. We're talking friendships. We're talking acquaintances who can show up and you can really grow from and help you to get to that whatever next step it is or next experiment you want to have.
Oh, for sure.
So Sherry, I'm going to leave you with this.
Yes.
Okay. And anyone listening. So when you are at the store, you're in public, even with your family's the hardest. And I'll tell you what, if you can master it with the family, it's a lot easier outside of the family. But when those energies come, you know, just take a breath and welcome it to move in and through and keep going.
In through, keep going.
Yeah.
Can you put that on a shirt? That and go home and evolve. I want those on a shirt.
Yeah, the go home and evolve one is very helpful too. So when you're starting to feel a little low and you can just ask for lower energies.
She needs merch. What? I didn't say that. Merch? What?
Anyway, so did that help?
That did.
Yeah.
It
was a really long conversation around, you know, in and out of energy, but
honestly,
hopefully that did help you.
You answered like 40 of my questions and you just didn't even mean to do it. So I appreciate that.
Oh, well, great. Well, thank you.
Thank you guys for listening and thank you for answering my questions. And
You're
I guess
very
we'll
welcome.
See you guys next time.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in. Remember that you are bigger than anything that you are going through or anything that is happening around you.